All right, I got on the podcast Carlos Cardenas with Urganic Pest Control or Pest Solutions.
It's Urganic with an UR, Urganic Pest and Termite.
Pest and Termite, and you're in Scottsdale, Arizona, right?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
And you are a startup. You've actually, when did you actually start up? I mean, officially.
Actually, the company just launched about 3 weeks ago.
Three weeks. And have you sold anything yet?
Yeah, I have. Not a lot, but I have.
But you have. Well, that's going to be easy for you. And to talk to us about, because this is not your first business. You've had other business before. And
I own a concrete company back in Mississippi about 15 years ago. Owned it for about 8 years.
Yeah. And you that one was pretty successful. You had that. Yeah. So what did you do? I mean, what does a concrete company do?
Well, we were on the coating side. I mean, we poured some, but we're mainly doing decorative coatings such as stamped concrete, stained. It actually happened after Hurricane Katrina. I couldn't go back to my job because, I mean, the roads were blocked. We have pine trees down everywhere. So I said, I got to do something. For some reason, I always liked concrete coating. So I decided to go to school, learned it, launched the company, and it was wildly successful. Sold it before moving to Miami.
Got it. Yeah, because you were in my neck of the woods before. What did you do originally before you started deciding to go do concrete?
I worked for companies like Coca-Cola and other multinationals in marketing positions, mainly in sales.
In sales. So you have a thorough background in sales and marketing because you have a marketing degree.
Correct.
Right. So you're coming into pest control and this side of it more because you sold for a national brand, pest control. I
did.
How long did you sell for them?
For about 3.5 years.
3.5 years. And then you decided you're going to start up now. So for you, you've been on the sales marketing side, and then you've been on the ownership side in a type of home service business. And then you went into sales again, and now you're back into owning a business. So you come at it from a little bit, actually a very big different angle than the average pest control guy comes into this, where he comes in it from just the technical service side and has a lot of experience in that, but has no experience in actually marketing and building a business. But I think your unique perspective can help a lot of people in the sales part. Talk to me about your sales experience, because most people have not been in sales in pest control. Talk to me, and especially in a market like Phoenix, which is pretty unique market. Compared to Miami, I think it's completely different. But talk to me about your experience there, what you sold, what you did. Talk to me about that from your perspective there.
Okay, so like I said, this was a very large multinational company. So they hired me on as an inspector. It was a beautiful journey. I mean, the training was second to none. Learned, believe it or not, even the technical side a little bit. But the name, frankly, I can't deny it. The name gave me an edge. Phoenix is an extremely competitive market. Last I heard, we had around 1,500 registered, licensed pest control companies in Phoenix.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I thought I had competition at one county. I had 200 and something companies. Now I got 1,700 technicians, but to have 1,700 companies, that's like cutthroat crazy.
It's crazy. So, and the price wars here are like, we see termite guys, all day long trying to sell termite jobs for $300, which I don't know how they can do it. But yeah, the name gave me an edge, but of course, sales what I've done my entire life. So I was pretty successful doing it for this company. And that's where I fell in love with pest control. I left them not because I disliked them in any way, quite the contrary, but I thought that there was a better way. I thought I could, apply IPM techniques, which, like you and I know, all these large corporations, it's not that they do believe in it 100%, but their approach to things is a little different from the approach I'm taking right now. So, and I like it much better. I use chemicals as a last resort. The great majority of companies, as far as I know, don't think the same. So,
right. Yeah, that's that. And I just finished doing, which it'll air tomorrow, part 2 of IPM. And what the heck is it? And why is everybody so confused about it? And the great debate on it. So this is going to be an interesting one tomorrow. I know that one day, Carlos, I'm going to find a dead horse's head in my bed. Because I am talking about things nobody wants to talk about. But this is one of the challenges that you have if you want to do things differently. You're not going to turn a large company around or come in and influence in any way being a marketer and being a sales guy, because you're entrepreneurial in your DNA.
Right.
And it's just a matter of time before you decide I'm going to try to do something on my own again when you've done it before and you've been successful at it. Anybody who hires me, I mean, I couldn't get a job when I came back to Miami to save my life. I had to run a linen truck. A sales route on a linen truck, because with my experience, nobody would give me a chance. Nobody wanted me in their company. I was going to be a disaster for them because I've owned businesses. I've been national sales manager, regional. How the heck do you go from there? And you come into Miami 20 years ago and it was like 100. I must have emailed and faxed when faxing was the thing. I must have faxed literally about 1,000 resumes out.
Wow.
0 calls. Like this guy's going to want 100,000 a year. There's no way we can pay. Nobody pays that in Miami.
Right. You were overqualified, probably.
Oh, I was overqualified. I literally had to start up and figure out what I was going to do and basically not put all that on my resume and take it all off.
So you get a job.
So I can land a job because I was overqualified for everything. So I landed a $50-something thousand a year job running a truck, which nobody thought I would make. And, loading and unloading linen for a national linen company. Mm-hmm. And eventually that didn't last. I mean, that company's quality control was so bad that they had a 13% customer satisfaction. I'm not talking about an 85% where they had a 13% dissatisfaction. No, they had a 13% customer satisfaction rating. So I basically walked in one day and I said, guys, I quit. I'm done. And then this is where pest control came in later for me, because I had to start up there. I'm unhireable. When you've done that, it becomes very difficult for you to get hired. And sometimes this is what happens also to technicians. They get so overqualified. They want to leave the company they're at, but a lower company is never going to pay them that $50,000, $70,000 a year they're making for working 6-7 days a week when they've got a $250,000, $300,000 route, and they're going to go to a smaller company that says, but I want to make the same amount, but I want to work 40 hours.
Correct.
You're going to get burned out, or you're going to have to stay there or move into commercial or move into audited facilities or do something else, because you're going to be stuck like Chuck. And then does the smaller company starting up want a guy with that much experience where he's been in the industry for 25 years. He's so set in his ways to come into a brand like yours that you're wanting to do organic and IPM. And we've been discussing this to death, and say, yeah, I'm just going to spray their baseboards because I'm not going to change. You got a huge challenge now in your hands, because now you're going to have to train people from the ground up. It's going to be very hard. I mean, we had a discussion.
Yeah.
Where I spent probably about an hour and a half with you and your technician.
Yeah, that was great, by the way. He fell in love with everything we talked about. He was like, oh my God, things I never thought about. They've been trained so differently that it's already becoming a challenge. So you have a great point there for sure.
Yeah. So, and how long has he been in the industry?
For about 9 years.
Yeah. And
100%. Yeah.
And what I focused on is an expertise, not the experience. Yeah. I have 10,000 jobs under my belt over 6, 7, 9 years, but every day I go out, I still learn something. I'm doing now a weekly, once or twice a week that I'm going out with my technician, pointing out stuff we're running into that you would think we shouldn't run into this after I've had, but my technician doesn't have that experience that I have. He's got a year and a half. My other guy's got a year and a half, a year. There's no way that in a year they're going to have any. So when he's followed my protocols, which I gave you, and part of this whole, if you look at what my new website is and the old one, you'll see that there's a big similarity. I said, steal the whole thing because you're in a local market. For people who are wondering, somebody stole my idea from my website and copied it and totally took everything I wrote. SEO local is where it's at. It's not going to affect you one bit if somebody takes it. You don't have anything new under the sun that you've created that hasn't already been spoken of just because somebody did it. So that's why I said just steal the whole thing and do it locally, because when you rebrand for local, that's where it's going to impact. It doesn't matter the whole context. So you're coming into this. You're several weeks old. So far, what's been your challenge? What's been your biggest challenge in this?
Well, I'm starting doing this slow season. So, I was talking to my girlfriend about that actually yesterday, and I told her, sometimes I feel a little down because it's so slow.
Right.
And she said, honey, Elon Musk always says, if you need encouragement, you're not a true entrepreneur, and you are. So she said, you need to relax. Slow season. You've been around for only a few weeks. Patience is not one of my virtues, Franklin, for sure.
Yeah.
So marketing, it started. Of course, I got the ball rolling.
Right.
It's very expensive. Even though I'm a marketing person, I'm new to pest control. So. Right. So I've been trying to figure out ways to allow my skills to apply, to pest control, which it's slowly happening, and I'm getting there. So it's been interesting.
So it's an interesting, because you just said you're not very patient, and marketing, in its truest sense, is all about patience.
Absolutely.
Brand building takes decades.
Decades, for sure.
Brand building is not something you do because you got SEO or because you have ads or because you have this. And then you're a sales guy, which sales guys in our business by nature is transactional.
Totally.
It's a transactional relationship. It's, you called me because you need a bug. You got a bug problem. I tell you about my service. I quote you my price. You maybe have to think about it and talk to your wife. You're comparing two invoices, but at the end of the day, it's transactional. It's not long-term relationship strategic sales where I'm walking into a hotel chain and over the next year, I'm going to be visiting them once a month and emailing and getting information and doing strategic selling that can take a year to land that $1 million account. Correct. This is by nature transactional. It's so you've got the impatience part, and then you've got the branding and marketing part that you realize SEO isn't going to take off. Your website isn't going to take off in the next 6 months.
Not for a while. Yes.
It's going to. So now you got to go into ads or door knocking or, BNI or some type of networking. They always said your worth is in your network.
Absolutely.
So now you got to. You're like a schizophrenic because you've got 5 hats you're wearing. You've got the sales guy saying, I need to go make sales. The marketing guy saying, I know it's going to take time. The network guy saying, I need to go out and invest time in these people. And now you're different than when you were working for a company where everything was done for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because you were getting leads. You weren't going out and getting all this business on your own. How many leads a day was your company pumping you?
I would say on average during the summertime, probably I'd say between 2 and 4 a day, and at least a third or half of those maybe pretty high quality leads.
Okay, and how many off of 3 to 4 a day that you were getting? How many were you closing?
I was closing probably around between 40 and 50%, I would say.
Oh, so 1 to 2 a day.
Yeah.
Okay, so one to two a day, and half of it being fed to you. And then how much did you go out and get on your own?
Actually, quite a bit, because I've always done a lot of networking.
Right.
So, but I would say, percentage wise, sales, I probably did 20% myself. They fed me, 80% because of them.
So the 80-20 rule, there you are. And you go and sell these, but you were selling a lot of termite services.
A lot, mostly, yeah.
And what was your average sale on average?
I say about 2,500 because of the market I'm in. $10,000 termite sales were not rare for me.
Right.
It didn't happen daily. They were not rare by any means. But yeah, between $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 probably average.
And on average, on an annual sales, what were you averaging annually in sales?
About, well, I went to a different branch after a while, but when I was in Scottsdale, probably around 30 to 40,000 a month.
Okay, so that's about $500,000, say, a year, close to 400.
About 350 to 400, probably.
Okay, so you can see how you easily, and then you forget what it was like when you started that cement company.
Yes.
You forget that because now all of a sudden you've got this history, and we quickly forget that history of what it was like, and because we got spoiled, and we're thinking, now what am I going to do to eat?
Yes.
Because it's different now. You got to wait for that marketing to start working. You got to get out and sell, but then also you got to do the service, and you got to do all the administrative. And now you're wearing 5-6 hats.
Absolutely.
And you gotta mentally adapt to this.
100%. Like I say, when I started my concrete company, I was extremely spoiled by the fact that everybody needed my services because a major hurricane had just hit us. So yeah, all I had to do, I literally bought a $2,000 pickup, put a magnetic sign on the door. I was making money.
Yeah, because there was a huge need. It's supply and demand. It's simple.
All about supply and demand. Yes.
So and you have a huge supply in Scottsdale, and now you got to create the demand. And now you're in a niche market, which is big in Scottsdale, because that's what we were discussing. Yes. That this mentality of going eco and friendly and green is huge. Yet so few companies are actually in that space. So you've got a blue ocean that you're navigating in, but you're navigating it by yourself. Nobody's in that ocean with you, but you're by yourself. So this is where I was in. So where I said it took me forever to get that, because I'm in a market where nobody cared about eco-friendly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nobody. Miami, nobody cared.
For sure, yes.
You got 65% Hispanic. I tell people that, you can get insulted all you want, but I'm a Hispanic and I live here, and I've lived here all my life. And Miami is a third world banana republic.
It is. I lived there for many years, so I second that for sure.
Okay. The reason I made so much money is because I used to work exclusively in one city called Doral, which where all the rich Venezuelans came over, because you're from Venezuela.
Yes, I am.
They came over to Miami and they bought millions of dollars with them, and they were buying $1 million houses cash. Yeah. So that they could get their papers, but they had the money to get all their papers and start companies, and say within a year they had papers because they came with money, they built businesses, and they're not a threat to.
Right, they got investment visas, correct?
They got investment visas. So that's why I made so much money. Where I had in one gated community, I had 100 clients, and I did the entire city for the city government, the parks, recreation, all that. I was well known in that city, and I got spoiled. And then things started to change, and the economy changed and all that. And then that's when I decided to start my eco-friendly business, but I initiated it there. So I understand this market. People don't understand that Miami is definitely not the rest of America. And people that live in Miami think Miami is America. There's a big disconnect.
Huge disconnect.
And so that's why with the whole issue with SEO, I've tried to hand this off 3 times already. Failed miserably at handing off the SEO because people do not understand the culture, They do not understand the demographics. They do not understand the psychographics, the sociographics. It's totally different than being in any part of America. And I had to, and the difference between you starting in SEO is you're starting from zero.
Correct.
And you build from there. The question is, how fast can they build? What is it really going to cost to get that traffic built? For me, it was 2 years because I'm in the 6th largest market in the country. This is not an easy market to be in. And then second of all, I had to compete with hundreds of guys on the web and rank up through those. Basically, I had to eat my way up through there. And it was 4 or 5 hours a night for 2 years. But my second strategy, my backup strategy was doing YouTube videos. And YouTube is, I said, I'm not going to get this right away, but with YouTube videos, I could probably rank, which YouTube is extremely difficult to rank in, to the tune of 100. And we just hit yesterday 5,000 subscribers. There aren't pest control out there, companies that have 5,000 subscribers.
Your YouTube channel, you mean?
My YouTube channel for my Nature Pest, for my business.
Right. Not the Pest Geek.
No, the Pest Geek just hit over 1,000 this month.
Okay.
Subscribers. It's extremely hard to rank on YouTube. It's called mass amount of content at scale. And I know what my success has been, and I know how to do it, and I know where all my errors are. With my SEO, and I know what we need to do. The problem is the time that it takes. I put in about 2 to 4 hours a day on social media, SEO, and videos. Now, what did I do? I said after this fiasco that I decided nobody understands what we do. Nobody understands the fact that I have, at the peak season in the summer, I have 17,000 clicks to my website.
Wow.
Nobody understands. Very few SEO companies, this is where the pitfall is, that SEO companies, very few do site migrations very successfully from sites that are actually ranking to make them better. Usually they will repair the one I have. They didn't want to repair. They wanted to completely. And when I consulted 3 other SEO guys that I trust, the reason I couldn't use them is because there was a conflict of interest, because friends of mine who own those companies do business with them in the same city. And I said, it's a conflict of interest. I can't use them. But he says, look, you really have to do, if you're going to build a brand new site, you're going to have to migrate all those pages. The company didn't want to migrate. I said, let's run ads from day one. I don't want to run ads because it's going to be a brand thing. And now they're going to see this website and then this. And I said, but I'd rather them see that than get no calls. Switch it to phone calls instead of links to the website.
Correct.
We didn't run the ads until after my site tanked. 3 months later, when I said, let's start ads now, I'm willing to pay for them. And understand that that's a huge cost. So now, not only did I lose about $8,000-9,000 on that whole transaction, but the irreparable damage that I lost all that business for a month, which was more than what I would have paid for the website. Now, thank God, we're finally back up and ranking again. I switched it and we got it back up and ranking, and we're starting to get calls again this morning. As of yesterday, we started getting calls, but I decided that I'm going to, which I've been discussing this. See, when I bring stuff up, people think, oh, he just thought of this. This is conversations I've been having for 2 to 3 years with Eric, who's my guy right now. We're doing some partnerships. And I said, look, dude, we need to build an in-house ad agency. We need to be our own ad agency. We have to realize that when you're in business and you want to scale, that you're really a sales and marketing company that happens to sell pest control.
Right.
The mentality has to shift. And this is where you understand it. I understand 100%. It. But the average pest control guy says, no, I don't want to be a sales guy. I don't want to be a marketer. That's sleazy. That's it. Because of all the reasons that I got burned. I've gotten burned 3 times. They've gotten burned. And I don't want, and then they see the door knockers and they see all the big company sales guys, and sales and marketing has a bad rap. But if you don't make the transition mentally and emotionally that you are a media company, that I'm a media company. I produce hundreds of videos. We're going to now 10X this because I can bring him on board and we can produce 10 times the amount of content because I have to influence, and I'm going to do another video tomorrow of why. But here's what the studies show, Carlos. Mm-hmm. The average consumer doesn't think pesticides are bad. 2/3. Only about 13% of the consumer thinks pesticides are bad.
13%?
About 13% think pesticides are bad. Wow. Here's where the problem is. Over here, the same people think 77% of pest control companies' products are toxic.
Wow.
Why? They believe that what we have in our arsenal to control pests is more lethal than what they're buying over the counter.
Wow.
That's the problem.
Little do they know. Yeah.
That it's 6% of bifenthrin is still 6% of bifenthrin. They are applying it at the same. The problem is they're filling their house with boric acid all over the place, throwing dust all over the place because they don't think that the products are toxic. They think so. They ask, the reason they don't call a professional pest control company is not because they want to do it themselves, is because they think of all the pesticide that we're using is so toxic, they're trying to avoid it.
Right, because they think that the products we purchase are stronger than what they have access to. Yeah.
And that's the word everybody uses. I need something. I tried doing it myself. Every time I hear, I need you to come and use something stronger. And I said, actually, the way we do it, you've contaminated your house 100%, 1,000% more. I don't think you can do 1,000% more. That would be mathematic. But more, I will contaminate your house 95% less in the next 10 years than you have in the last year spraying all that all over your house. Because what we're doing is IPM. And what we're doing is we're using predominantly bait. You got my protocols. I gave them to you.
Yeah.
It's predominantly bait. So the protection of the indoor quality. And this is where the disconnect is. And what has the universities accomplished in changing this mindset? Nothing. What has the National Pest Management Association, including they have a new division for marketing purposes to change this mentality? And what has the large brands done other than remove the spraying? And if you've seen it, there's no longer in the ads anybody spraying anything.
Correct. Yes. I've noticed that.
Yeah. The marketing is changing where it used to be, we do this on a science level to where you see a kid and their family being tucked away at night and there is no mention of a pesticide. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if they would, I would be so thankful if one of these companies national brands would actually say they're green, because the marketing arbitrage from that we would gain to validate what we're saying would be massive. And then it's going to be an issue of who provides the best customer service, not who provides the same, because this is green and green could be the same, but the differentiator in every company is going to be the service you give to your client, how you take care of them.
Absolutely agree.
Brand is everything. And your brand is what people think about, the feeling they get when they think about your company. And if the feeling they get is nausea, you got a problem.
Exactly. And that's where marketing comes in. A lot of people, it's like, I was talking to a VP for McDonald's years ago, and we're having this type of conversation. He said to me, a lot of people think we're in the food business. We're not. We're in the convenience business.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do people want when they go to McDonald's? They're not expecting a gourmet burger and they want to sit down with their girlfriend and have a glass of wine. No,
right.
They want in and out in 2 minutes, and they want to pay $5. So
right.
They're in the convenience business. Nowadays, marketing, the way it has evolved, we have to understand that we are in the marketing business, not so much the pest control business.
And a convenience business, because nobody wants to be inconvenienced.
Correct. Exactly.
And think about it. I was just having this discussion about IPM. And I said, to do IPM is really intensive on inspection. How many of your customers want to wait for you at home on a midday week on a Wednesday at 3:15 to make sure that you're there on time, first of all, and that you have to inspect that entire property before you can provide a service. And the study shows that 60% of people rather just have an exterior service alone and not put the pesticide in their house. Mm-hmm. And they don't have to be inconvenienced by having to be there. They only want to be inconvenienced when there is a problem to call you, and then you make the appointment to go in that house.
Yeah.
That's the whole marketing of pest control, and what we've done is based on that knowledge of how that customer behavior.
Absolutely.
And selling the convenience. Could we do an inspection and every single time when you work for a large national brand and you got 15, 20 stops a day? Good luck. And good luck that customer waiting around for you when he's at lunchtime and he says, I'm going to be home at lunch. Can you make it? And you're 45 minutes away to make a special trip for that client. It isn't the reality. It isn't the reality. Second of all, we've already proven that people want convenience.
That's all they want.
And they will give up all their personal info for convenience. They will, people say, no, my customers don't. If you're in rural nowhere, I get it. But if you're in a major city, and major cities are becoming more, especially with millennials don't want to live out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
They want to live in that convenience of my store that I shop at is walking distance 2 blocks away.
It's in all aspects of life. It's we live in a fast life. We live in a fast lane. That's all people are seeking. So that's why you have to focus on that type of thing.
I got Amazon Prime. Most of the stuff I order Amazon Prime, I get it the next day. When I don't get it,
Phoenix, we're getting it the same day.
Because they're opening up RDCs,
right.
Redistribution centers close by. I remember when I started my food service business, I said, Columbus is one of those places that is the hub of at one point, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, was the hub of every major retailer had a distribution center in Ohio. The reason is you can put a truck on a road and have it anywhere 80% of the population within 8 hours, because all the population is east of Mississippi. Mm-hmm. So if you put Columbus as like the geographic center of America for population, and you could put a truck and be in New York in less than 8 hours, be in Atlanta in 8 hours, be in Chicago in 8 hours, just about anywhere in the country other than Miami, because you can't be in Miami 8 hours from anywhere. It takes 8 hours just to get out of Florida. But anywhere you could, and that was, now they're opening up these distribution centers and working direct with retailers so that it gets picked up from the store and gets sent to you and delivered within hours, just like an Uber. I mean, think about the restaurant industry, how that changed with Postmates and Uber Delivers and Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Because the convenience of paying $6 to get your meal.
It's all about convenience.
It's all about convenience. And we keep thinking it's all about chemical, and it's all about all this knowledge. And it isn't. The knowledge is important. You got to have it. But to what level is it really, do I need to have a AIB SQL level knowledge to control bugs in a home? The reality is you don't. And I've trained my people about 80% of what they need. The rest, we deal with it to get this thing going, because speed matters in building a business. The question is how fast do I want to grow? That's my thing right now. I'm still comfortable about that 25% a year growth. In your case, you're going to have lightning 100%, 1000% growth because you're brand new.
Brand new, right.
So you're going to have that. But dude, it's incredible that this is what we're selling. We're selling convenient solutions. People are not calling us because they believe our products are more toxic. Chemicals are very cheap, and anybody thinks they can do it because they saw the bug man. So in order for me to change the mentality of my client and the people I'm trying to target and reach them, I got to produce massive amount of content.
Yeah. And that, in my opinion, that's going to be my biggest obstacle, because I've even asked people about it. I mean, I would say at least 70, 80, 90% of pest control companies, you see them on their truck, kid and pet friendly treatments, So that confuses the heck out of consumers. And so I've had several tell me, such and such companies is going to charge me $29 every other month. Believe it or not, some people are charging that in Phoenix, and they are green. They're totally, and they explain to me why, because they're using pyrethroids, they're using chrysanthemum derived products. So they are derived from a plant. And I'm like, well, man, that's not exactly the case. But then again, you can get too technical with them, but educating the customer is going to be my biggest challenge by far.
Yeah. And I don't know if since you're in marketing, do you remember Cy Sims? Because you're but you probably weren't here in America when he was around. Mm-hmm. Cy Sims was the owner of Sims Clothing.
Oh, okay.
In New York. And they were down in a couple of cities. They were here in Miami when I was a kid. And I've been a marketing guy, and I guess it's just in my DNA to observe stuff like this as a kid. And I remember how they would educate the customer on retail. This is television in the 70s. And they would educate the customer on retail. They would say, if an item is on our shelf for so many days, it has to be marked down after so many days. And then after so many days, it gets marked down to this. And then finally, it gets cleared out because we got to make room for the new styles and new things coming in constantly. And they did entire commercials. This was his whole thing. And he says, and he had his line. He says, an educated consumer is our best customer. Later, the company folded and he didn't make it after being up. He was, multi-billionaire. I think he made it to a billionaire status. Mm-hmm. And the educated consumer,
that's huge. Yes.
Is our best customer. If we would learn to apply that today is still taught in business school. I studied that when I was in business school. Mm-hmm. And what I have to do is I got to educate the consumer, not the customer. The customer is after he bought. I can't educate him after he bought. I got to pre-educate him before he buys and sell against what he thinks. I get off the phone and I have long conversations with people because I am listening. People think I'm talking so much all the time. I'm listening to what everybody is saying. I listen to the words that come out of their mouth because words mean things. And I had a conversation about what's the difference between me and my competitor who was selling her an eco-friendly service too. And I said, well, if he's telling you he's going to solve that ant problem with mint oil, he's lying because he can't.
You can't, correct.
Ask him to give you the list of the products he's really going to use. And one of my preferred products is permethrin. Well, permethrin isn't going to last that long, especially for ant control. And they mix it with pyrethrin. I'm having this conversation with her and I said, here's my list. I got a page and my products are on there and I give you a list, but here is how we apply it. And this is why I have to do videos showing exactly how we do it, which the industry is against, saying you're giving away all our secrets. Mm-hmm. And if you don't give away the secrets, you have an uneducated, ignorant customer because nobody can understand, well, we're just going to use pyrethroids and we're going to crack and crevice. What the heck is a crack and crevice to a customer? Exactly. That's an industry term. Are you putting that on my butt crack or which crack are you using?
I know so many pest control companies get so technical that they keep talking exclusion. They put it on their truck, exclusion. Nobody knows what that means.
Nobody knows what exclusion. You got to, and the thing is, they don't want to put it into, because then I'm dumbing it down and then I'm not being technical and they're more afraid of what the competitor is going to think than what the customer thinks. And they're here trying to impress all their competition and their colleagues when at the end of the day, I can't pay my bills with any of that.
Yeah, they should never do that. What did the CEO of Samsung keep saying over and over again to his salespeople? Never, ever talk about the technical aspect of a product. Only talk about the benefits. Forget about the technical aspect. Yeah. And that's what I try to focus on. So, and it's been a challenge. So when people ask me, so how are you going to go about the process of being so green? I always tell them, it's not a product. It's like you and I have discussed, Franklin. It's a process. So therefore, it does take me longer to treat your property. because I'm not just going to douse your house with chemicals or what a lot of people call the so-and-so, green products. It's a process. It will take me possibly 20, 30 minutes. My goal is to service 7, 8, 9 homes a day, not 17 like a lot of people. Yeah. So I have to show the value of my process, So
and then you're talking to them and they're looking at you like, because how do you explain process? So the only way I can do it is through commercials. What are my commercials? My demos are commercials. All my videos are commercials.
Right.
Because I have to be able to show that when they go there and they see this, you're talking to me about things that I've never heard of, that are foreign. Pest control, as far as I understand, is the guy who came to my mother's house, sprayed every month. The guy who came to my house sprayed every month. But here's what happened. All of a sudden, I got a puppy because I'm a millennial and I got a child. And I decided I don't want that around them. Mm-hmm. It was okay for his mom. It was okay for his dad. It was okay for his grandma. It's not okay for his kids.
Correct. Yeah. Now they see the value.
And now what we have to do is turn that technical info into concepts and wording that people can understand, that is consumable. It's like telling your kids, eat your vegetables. I hate vegetables. Mm-hmm. Oh. So I have to blend them into something so they can eat their vegetables.
Right.
Am I being deceitful to my kids by hiding the vegetables? It's in their best interest, but I'm not being deceitful because it's well documented what I do. I can take them to the science and say, read these 15 articles from every major university on German roach IPM, and you'll see that what I'm telling you is true, that I'm not saying I'm doing something I'm not. But we do have natural products. They have their place. And baits have their place. And and inside we've created a zero spray service, exclusive, with nothing but baits, with the exception of 5% of our jobs we need to do with some type of service or crack and crevice. But 95% of the time, 99% of the time, we never have to spray a darn thing. Inside. Outside, we've been discussing this in your temperature, in your sun, with your landscapes.
What was I used to seeing guys just dousing homes with use a bunch of chemicals, mostly pyrethroids, saying, yeah, so it's pretty much the spray and pray philosophy that's going to take care about, like you and I talk about 80% of the issues. Right. That's what they're going to get between 10 and probably callbacks. So I knew that that's not what I wanted. So not having come from the technical side, I had to figure out a way. And that's what took so long. And now I feel that I wouldn't call it perfected it, because it's not by any means even close.
Right.
But coming up with something viable, with something that makes sense to the customer. And to me, it's been the biggest challenge by far.
Yeah, that's it. And especially when you wanted to go because you realized 1,700 clients, 1,700 companies, you're in a bloody bath to go down in the marketplace. Maybe everybody's on the race to the bottom with pricing. How are you going to create that blue ocean strategy? By the way, the reason I use the term blue ocean, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, it's a book called The Blue Ocean Strategy. That's what I read. That's what validated what I wanted to do and what I was doing in my business, to validate how you can actually go into a space that is uncontested. Mm-hmm. and actually create. But remember that you're in an uncontested space. You have a bigger demand, I think. I probably would venture to say that you probably have about, I would say 80% more demand for your service, the way you're wanting to do it, than what I have in Miami. This is not an eco-friendly town. This is quite the opposite. This is why I said, in part of what I want to do is I can probably get you 80% of the knowledge over the phone and in writing and all that. But unless I take people by the hand and I walk a technician through the process, mm-hmm. You don't get that other 20, which is pivotal, that's the one that relieves the frustration. That's why you see me doing so many videos. I understand that all the training in the industry is lectures. Nobody ever takes you in the field by the hand or shows you an actual video on how it's actually performed, even at the best CEU training in the world.
Yeah, they don't. They never.
It's still a lecture. Mm-hmm. And this is what I'm trying to change. The problem is everybody says, well, we can't do videos and we can't do this and we can't do that because of a lot of reasons. A lot of it is the culture that they're in that doesn't allow for it, doesn't let them. That's one of the things that you're going to have to be real patient. But what I used to do, and this is just what I learned to do, is I would take 10 properties with all different levels of problem, and usually my most difficult ones. And then I would take those 10 homes, and those are the ones I would test in. So I would limit my risk. It's risk management. If you're going to do research and development, you only want to risk so much of the company's budget on research and development. If you can get it down to 1%, where there's only a 1% risk, and you can kill at any time.
Minimize it, correct?
Yeah. Minimize your risk. I think that's where I thrive. That's what I would do. So right now we've been testing 100% 25B lawn care on one property for over a year now. But I only had one that was willing to take the chance. Wow. She actually told me, this is what I want. I don't want a single synthetic product on my property. Mm-hmm. And her husband didn't care. But she's got a degree. She's got a master's degree in aromatherapy.
Oh, wow.
She's a yoga instructor that happens to own an organic juice bar.
Wow.
This is my ideal client.
That's the ideal client, yeah.
However, the expectations, because of how she's learned and she knows everything about essential oils, how she's used them in therapy and how she sells them to her clients and all this, has never been tested on a roach.
Yeah.
So we were trying to control, like when we get carpenter ants and ghost ant problems, how are we this house has a crawl space. It's got a septic tank. You talk about she's got a lawn. And what I talked to her about was, if you can get me the cultural practice perfect on the lawn, meaning you can get me that mowing perfect at the right height, at the perfect height, with a perfectly sharp blade, and they can do this weekly, we can give it a shot and see what happens. So all the shrubs, 100% natural, all the lawn, 100% natural. And then the property now is on 100% natural. And do we still have problems? Yeah, we still want to. The deal was that if I have to use a synthetic, I'll let you know. But my goal is to use so far this winter, we've only had to use a fungicide once.
That's amazing.
My other properties, we've had to use it 3 and 4 times.
Wow.
Why? Because I know intuitively from all the research of what 25B do, they're antiseptic in nature. And so, but we couldn't test it completely because nobody wanted to take that chance on their lawn. We've been using biostimulant products, and we've been using minerals and using micros. We've been able to test it on this one property for over a year. She's extremely happy. That's and awesome. mind you, this is a 1,500 square foot home that costs $1 million.
Wow.
On Miami Beach.
On Miami Beach, of course, yeah.
$1 million for 1,500 square foot. And what she has in lawn is like 1,000 square feet of lawn in the back, the garden. Wow. It isn't a big house, but we've been able to do it. She's extremely happy with the color, and there's no insects, no diseases, no grubs. We haven't had any of these issues. So now I told my tech, I said, all right, we tested that one for a year. This is the only thing we haven't tested with natural is lawn. And I said, take every monthly property we have and let's convert it and see what happens. But I got to take that risk.
Yeah.
Because I know that he's on there constantly and he's inspecting, because that's been our trick to IPM in the landscape natural is we can't do quarterlies. We have to do monthly. So we're there on a monthly basis. The chances of something getting out of hand. And what I do is I train my client to say, if you see a spot on the lawn, you call us. Yeah. It isn't a complaint. It isn't a callback. It doesn't reflect negatively on us. I educate them on why they need to call me at the first sign, because there are things we can't control that we can't. It's outside. We can't control your outside. Mm-hmm. So to us, when we get that callback, it's it's an opportunity for us to do what is right for the client. But our callbacks are so low, but we educate the client. So he calls us, hey, that large spot, and he knows what it's called now. He knows how to ID it because he sits from his second story window and looks down at his lawn. It's starting to show up, and we're there within a day or two solving it. So that's the secret for us has been that testing, proving, limiting the exposure so we don't have 100 clients mad at us because it didn't work. And we test one new thing every year. So we don't go crazy testing, but we stick to it. In other words, okay, it didn't work like this. Let's try it every 2 weeks and see if 2 weeks is better. But until we go through all 4 seasons.
Yeah. You don't know if it's going to work. Yeah.
We have no clue. So the patience game, just like in marketing, just like in branding, it's a patience game for us to be able to, if we can get the client to play along with us and understand that if something goes awry, my technician can correct it immediately. So if we start getting that blood, it says, yeah, we're getting called every week, man. This isn't working. So now that's how, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to really be real patient with yourself, most of all.
Right. And that's why setting expectations, the right expectation is so important. Talking about threshold. And I've been talking to my few customers I have about that. So they seem to be on board. I mean, they like the approach. I always tell them, I also have a policy, by the way, of zero in interior spray, zero. So they love that, but they understand with my approach is so different. Like what I'm going to do outdoors is probably going to be effective, but they're on board. I tell them, you give me a call.
Right.
I'm always going to be here for you. You give me a call if you happen to see this, you happen to see that. So I've been educating the customer a lot.
Yeah.
And so far they seem very receptive.
Right.
So, I'm positive about it, actually.
Yeah. And understand that with our client mentality also, here's where people don't understand that they try to offer a green service, but their people don't have the culture of green. We're green from the ground up. We built it from the ground up green. You're building it from the ground up green. When people want to be a Me Too service, is like going to McDonald's and asking for a pizza. You could get a pizza. Is it going to be a good pizza? Probably not. So the whole idea of adding an add-on service where we have an option is not the same as a company that's devoted and the culture of that company is devoted.
Yeah, that's huge right there. That's huge. Yes.
And that's branding.
That's branding. Correct.
And that's what that is. You got the whole branding isn't your logo. Branding isn't design. Branding is the whole package.
Your identity.
Your identity and what the customer. So my customer and your customer are probably going to be a lot more forgiving because they don't want to kill everything on the planet either. They just don't want it inside their home. If they got spiders on the bushes, it's not a big deal. They just don't want spiders crawling on them.
Exactly.
So there's a whole mindset where you don't have that client that says, I'm expecting you to kill everything because we understand it's an ecological, it's an eco-friendly service. We're taking the entire colony. It's a holistic service. And if they see one ant, chances are they're not going to flip out and say, you're a total failure, versus when you sold it as, we're going to eradicate everything. You're not going to have any problems. And you as a salesman, because you needed the sale, you sold it because everybody's your customer. Because what do we sell? Pest control. Everybody needs pest control. We sell pest control. No, we have a unique selling proposition for our client.
Very unique, yes.
And that is the true. So we have a blue ocean. We have a unique selling proposition. We have totally something different than everybody else is selling, and trying to get a salesman to come over from that mentality, trying to get another employee to come over for that mentality, and fit in our culture where they don't feel like they have to get the 10 sales a day or the 15 jobs, but if we do 8. It's okay. And that whole slowing down. And like I said, it's a whole, man, it's this whole process for you. I'd be interesting to have this conversation with you in the next 3 months.
I would love to.
And seeing where the progress, where the pitfalls are, because it's going to be interesting. You're going to learn. I am just I am big on education, but I'm also big on learning, and learning doesn't come from education. Learning comes from the experience. And I think that's where people miss it, where they don't want to go through the bad experiences. They want to protect themselves from all these experiences. And I think that's what makes me, if I can be a mentor to somebody, it's not the fact that I have it all together, that I'm perfect. It's the fact that I've made so many more mistakes than you.
Exactly.
And willingly, I've made the mistakes to learn.
And you have been, and I highly, highly, highly appreciate it. I tell people, he's my mentor. And I tell you are incredibly knowledgeable. You are devoted to this type of environmentally friendly treatments like I am. And
right.
So I love learning from you. I even listen to your podcast when I'm in the car. Which
if you have your girl there, she's gonna like this. This is getting sickening.
I know, she tells me, can we listen to music instead of this in the car?
Yeah, I know, right? I know. I get her. No issues. But yeah, brother, it's really cool. How let me see your shirt. How do you actually pronounce that name?
I have this right here, but what's interesting is the back of it.
There you go. I can almost read it. And I got to get something like that for my guys too. I can almost read it.
So what he says is the same service performed in hospitals and organic facilities is now available to you. So it's a short version of what
I thank you that you stole that.
Yeah.
You know why I don't care, honestly, is I want to see this become a national phenomenon where people are actually understanding it, they're buying it, that each individual company gets to grow doing this. I could care less that you stole it. I told you to steal it. I really want people to be able to have a really unique position in the marketplace.
I wanted to come up with a marketing message, not a slogan.
Right.
The more I read yours, because I was like, is there anything better that I can think of? Not really. That's why I talked to you about doing this.
Yeah.
And people are loving it. I mean, I have it on my truck.
Right.
I have it everywhere. That's going to be my marketing message.
Because all we do really, I mean, I do organic. People can't tell me, well, what you're doing is not what's done in organic facilities, because I actually have organic facilities that we service that are certified organic. And we have an actual protocol that was sent to us by their auditor, their auditing facility agency. Mm-hmm. And this is what they required. And this is what I've been doing for homes. So when we're talking about there's a difference between doing an organic service. We brand ourselves as organic because we have to be able to communicate effectively to that client what it is that client wants. Was it, you ever been in a Marshall Fields store?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember the Marshall Fields had this premise where he had a salesman that was trying to negotiate with the lady on the floor. Mm-hmm. So goes the story. And Marshall Fields told the salesman, don't negotiate, give the lady what she wants. Mm-hmm. We have to be able to give people what they want, but we're responsible for doing it right. In other words, I am explaining to you that this is an organic facilities compliant. You're never going to have 100% organic because we don't even have organic products. I mean, what am I going to use? Nematodes in your house? I can't do it. What is the closest thing? It's IPM. I've seen guys do jobs at hospitals. I know what is done. The problem is nobody knows. So if I call it, we're going to give you an IPM service. What the heck is that? It's an organic compliant. We are nature
protocol.
And actually, the name of my company doesn't have to do with indoor. My goal was so lofty that I totally, and I ended up with nature. But how did you get that name? How did you even get it? Because it's almost impossible to get. I said, it just came to me one day. I was thinking of Nature Pest. And I says, what is it? Well, I took that slogan off of our site now. It used to say we kill pests and save nature, because we were 95% lawn and ornamental. We weren't doing general household pest. We were lawn, and how much chemical do you use in lawn and ornamental? Like 1,000% more chemical than in GHP. And I was bothered by that so much, of spraying all of that chemical, making a tank mix with a fungicide, 2 insecticides, a synthetic fertilizer, and then going back over it and doing it every single time, which is what every company does, and sprays all those chemicals on everybody's lawn, instead of going to an IPM model where we only apply that chemical and the herbicide and the fungicide when there's a problem. And most people are never willing to take that risk.
Yeah.
And I started educating the customer and switching them. And it took me about 7 years to where we started amending the soil with biological products and correcting the soil for that client. So my new client that comes on now might get a complete blanket service with herbicide and fungicide because they've got all these problems. But then we start adding all these bio products and we start weaning them off of the herbicide and the fungicide because they're getting their landscape done right. They're getting their mowing right. They're getting the irrigation right. And now to where I used to apply maybe 6 applications a year, we're down to 2.
Wow.
And in most cases, none.
That's progress. Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about, is this progress, but this takes time to overcome. And how do we do the marketing? So that's why I would rather have 100 guys across the country steal that. And all of us educating people on what really it is and sticking together on this. Than to say, well, I'm doing my own thing and you're doing your own thing, calling it, IPM, and you call it this and I call it that. And why don't we just have an agreement of what we do? Because we can't get it from the university. We can't get it from the government. Yeah. We get no support from the associations on this. I mean, who's there to really? And then what we get called is a bunch of lunatics that spray mint oil. That's what I'm trying to overcome in the customer's mind, that's not what we do. And then the industry's calling us a bunch of, whatever it is, hocus pocus guys. But we got to take the branding out there. And that's what I'm hoping can be done, bro. I think you're going to be successful. Number one is you understand marketing, you understand management, you understand business. Just like I can teach my guy all the technical stuff. I can't teach him to be nice. I can't teach him to be courteous. I can't teach him to pay attention to detail.
Exactly.
Those are the things that have to be hardwired into him.
Right.
And then if I find that guy that all these things are hardwired, I said, bro, would you like to do something different? Because sometimes he's working for $9 an hour. I just had the most amazing experience, because here is the dichotomy of things. I don't even like ordering from Best Buy anymore, because they don't have anything on their shelves. They never have anything on the shelves when I go in the store. I order it online. It's not there. So I've ordered everything from Amazon. There was this one computer that I wanted, which I just bought a Super Rocket for my guy, the same one I have here, which we're doing this recording on. And half of the stuff, they didn't want to ship it to me. They wanted me to go pick it up in the store nearby. It wasn't even an option. So so I said 2 products were ready. I went to go pick it up. The kid that was taking out a box for another client saw me and he says, did you order it already to get it at curbside? And I said, no. And he says, okay, I'm with this client. Do me a favor. Just go over to customer service and give them the order so they can pull it. When he was done with that client, he went and found me in line. And he said, here, so you don't have to stand here. Let me find out if I can scan it and order it for you and get it for you. He could have waited till the next order was on and says, man, I did my job. I delivered it. No, he went and found me. He scanned it. He says, wait right here. I'm going to go get it for you right now. And he took the initiative of getting it for me, loaded it in my car. I mean, that's the kind of guy that I would hire in a heartbeat for my company.
Oh, absolutely.
And then train him to do the technical stuff, because if he's got that heart to care that much about me picking up a screen, imagine what he can do in a real company that can show him how to make money.
Absolutely. And I believe 100% in that. And that's why I started this.
And at this point, I am, in my company, the technical director. I am the general manager. I am the owner. I'm the guy that sets up all the protocols. And And when I hire I'm looking at hiring probably, if I can get this marketing thing going the way I want to in the next 90 days, hire an admin salesperson to do inside sales and admin work. Do a lot of the calling on the customers, the existing, get some upsells, take care of all incoming calls that we get for leads and sell it. But if I get a person with sales experience and the right heart, the right culture, they can make. I don't need a guy that says I need to make 100,000. I need a guy that says I'm happy if I make 36,000 to start and then 50 to 60,000 in commissions. To altogether a package, and is patient. And what I'm looking at, how many women have been displaced in this workforce that are sitting at home with that experience?
Oh, absolutely.
That they can answer calls all day, that they can drop their kids off at school.
Yes.
Or that they're still working with kids, but you're not getting 20 calls. We're getting 10 calls a day. We were. And can they still do this and be professional? And you know what? Everybody's working from home. Nobody's like, oh no, you can't have any children in the back. Most of the kids are sitting in front of a computer. They're doing their classes. They're not getting bothered by them. And they're sitting home going, I can't go to work and I wish I could do something. And I have the experience.
Yeah. Or you don't even have to pay him hourly. You can pay him by the call.
By the call, by the commission, whatever. But it's working it out that there's always a way.
Always, yeah.
To get what you need. The problem is with too many guys are technical. They're all hung up on what they know and how much everybody else needs to know and how a salesman is never going to sell it their way. And it's like, no, it's about creating a culture. And I think, the way you're going, you're starting from scratch. You're getting it done. You've got the experience to go out there and make it happen. I have like I said, dude, you worry like, man, what am I going to do? And I said, bro, you come from sales and marketing. You got this made. You're going to grow 80% faster than the average guy.
I hope so. Thank you, man.
You will, because most of the guys get stuck. This is where they get stuck. They can get enough customers if the customer calls them. They don't know how to go out and talk to the customer. They don't know how to prospect. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to do those hard things that it takes to be in sales. They know how to do the technical, and they live off of referral. So if they get a referral, they get the business. But at one point, at that $150,000 a year revenue, they're all stuck.
80%. It's so common in the industry. I talk to great people, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what they're doing, but it's so common to see people that have been in the industry for a couple of decades, and they're still a solo operation. They're still doing things by themselves. They haven't hired anybody, and they're very comfortable. I'm not saying there's anything wrong, but it makes you wonder why, if they've been around for 25 years, why don't they have?
Listen, every guy, when I went and started up, I was talking to everybody. I want to grow my company, all this, and all of these CPOs that were all of these CEU conferences all told me, dude, you don't want to grow. That's the mentality. Everybody told me you don't want to grow. You know why? Wow. You're going to have employee nightmares. Then you're going to have the inspectors on your butt. Then, and they've all decided that. So I used to have, 4 trucks, and I went back down to myself. They all decided they were going to retract. And wow. Why? Because that's fine. Their house is paid for. They're 60 something. Their $150,000 a year pays them $75,000, which they live very comfortably for $75,000. They live in an average house, drive an average car. That's fine. But don't tell me that this is a business. Because the moment you get sick, the moment you have an accident, the moment something happens, you can no longer produce. You don't have a business.
Correct.
You are self-employed. Being self-employed and having a business are two different things. Having a business, when I can say I'm leaving, call me if you really need me, but I've got a manager and I've got the marketing people and I've got an entire staff of people working for me that I can take off if I have to. And I still don't suffer financially.
Yeah, their business are 100% dependent on them,
right?
And that's why
then they're not business people. You're a business person.
Yeah,
you're out to do business. They're trying to kill bugs for. That's it. And I said, there's nothing wrong with it. Again,
nothing wrong with it
because I did it. But then I got a wake up call one day when I landed 30 days in the hospital and I couldn't figure out how I was going to run my business.
Wow. Yeah.
And I said, not again, ever.
I bet you changed your strategy after that.
Very carefully. I mean, I was doing it because I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I was doing. I knew that I wanted to grow and that I wanted to do this. And I was running, but I was running it all. I had 4 trucks on the road. I had a landscape and I had a pool service and I had the pest control. And then I had a crew of painters and people that were doing all kinds. They were all subcontractors. And then when I couldn't be there anymore, who's there to get the sales? Who's there to get the business? Because if I didn't make the daily sales, they didn't have any work.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different paradigm shift that you have to have. But the thing is, you already come with. That's why I said, don't worry. I know it's our nature as entrepreneurs. We're the most impatient people in the world.
Yeah, we run out of patience quick. Yeah.
And I did. And I usually give people the benefit of that. This is one of the problems I had with this, that I saw we're never going to get this done. The relationship is beyond a point that there's zero trust. And I have to cut my attorney just basically, look, bro, just
cut your losses
and move on. And a lot of times we're so emotionally invested that we don't want to, because we already invested this time and this money, and I want to see them. And it's just better just to cut it off and lose it than to keep possibly losing down the road. Because I knew I could get that back in 30 days. And what I decided, for 30% more, Carlos, than what I was paying a company, I'm bringing in a full-time guy that I completely trust.
Of course.
Have the most up respect for, because we've worked together for 20 years. This is his passion. He believes in what we're doing. He believes in my brand. Mm-hmm. I've got 80% better chance of making it big.
It makes all the sense in the world.
So that's one of the reasons. So the moment you can hire, and the moment you can duplicate yourself, and the moment you can get yourself out of the way, this is my job now.
Absolutely.
My job is this.
Right thing.
My job is producing enough content to educate my client base, to educate and help people like you that want to start up, want to do this. This is what I'm naturally good at.
You're great at it.
I enjoy it thoroughly. I enjoy more picking up the phone and having a conversation with you for an hour about how you're going to succeed, because I know you want to succeed, than to have to make sales pitches all day long.
Yeah.
And I love making sales pitches.
I can see your passion, and that's why I love watching your content, because I can see your passion. I'm the same way. So definitely.
And we're just from different. We're brothers from different mothers. But yeah, I mean, Venezuelan people are not that much different, man, than Cubans. They're very loud too. I am like 18 miles from all of them. Hialeah used to be all Cuban, and La Pequeña Habana and Little Havana, and then you've got Doralzuela. That's literally what it's called.
And Westonzuela.
In Westonzuela, out in Weston, and I'm starting to get into that area of Weston now, moving into Broward. So this year we're moving into Broward.
That's awesome.
We had a vision of buying a really nice big truck, but it was a $90,000 to $100,000 investment. We slowed down so much, and now I got to recover. And I might have to build a smaller version of that I want to build a really nice enclosed vehicle that allows us to do a lot of eco-friendly. We need a lot of dedicated tanks that we can't cross-contaminate. And so we need it. And the average lawn truck has 2 tanks. For what we want to do, we need 5.
Wow.
And we need, electric pumps. We're not going to, but we need high-end electric pumps. These things are $600 to $1,000 each, because they're equivalent to the gas pumps. We're going down to smaller reels, and we're trying to get this thing. I just met with a company trying to get it designed. Hopefully, I was trying to buy it before the end of the year, and it's $100,000. The way they're designing, it's probably going to be about $90,000.
Is it a box truck?
This is a actual truck that actually has roll-up doors that we're looking at. The other one is a box truck, because we have ride-on spreader sprayers.
Yeah, kind of like the vending trucks. I have several roll-up.
Yep. And then so it's all enclosed so that no chemical is out, nothing's exposed, nobody can steal my reels. We're in Miami. We're not in Alabama.
In Alabama,
get shot. Over here, you scream like crazy and nobody comes out. So if somebody's stealing your truck, if he's in Texas, he's probably got an 80% chance of getting shot before he steals that truck. Then in Miami, where you can, we don't have open gun laws here and things like that. So we got to look at it, and it costs so much more to do that. So these are the things we're looking at, bro. And
awesome, man.
Once I get it done, you saw my other truck, the one I just built,
Yeah.
Like, why did you spend that kind of money? I said, because I want my people to be comfortable. That extra $2,000 I spent.
More than worth it.
What is that in 6 years?
Nothing.
Nothing.
That's one termite job.
So he can do this and pull everything out of his truck, and he's happy. He doesn't have to dig in and climb inside the truck. Everything it's in his place.
That's huge. Yeah.
So we're looking at, that extra $20,000 is a huge investment compared to the traditional, but the peace of mind, the way we want to compact it to be able to park it in a regular space. I mean, we're doing a lot of things that haven't been done. But again, that was a very expensive experience from buying a little van and actually doing lawn care out of backpacks and a little van with a 24-gallon tank that people say can't be done. And that's what we do. We only use 24 gallons a day when the average guy is using 300, 400, 600 gallons a day.
Right.
So are we eco-friendly? Yeah, we're saving 90% more water.
Absolutely.
So bro, it's super exciting. What are you doing right now? Because I know you were trying to, you were discussing BNI in those groups.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about your experience, because a lot of guys have been discussing that. And talk to me about the real experience in being in those groups and what people can expect.
So I'm lucky enough to have a girlfriend who used to be BNI chapter's VP.
Okay.
So she thought, I'm all for networking. However, BNI's got a bad rap. Sometimes people give it a bad name.
Right.
I've heard wonderful things about BNI. So
right.
One thing she did say is make sure you join the right chapter. By right chapter, she means it's got to have enough people, and you got to have a good power team behind you. What's a power team? For us pest control people, we want home inspectors, we want realtors, we probably want, title people, lenders, flooring people. So I scoured through the whole thing, man. I went to BNI Arizona, looked at chapter after chapter. It was like, this is not going to work. It's not going to work, until I came across one that had 27 people in it. It did not have a pest control company. I talked to a few of them. Actually, she subbed for me this morning because they make you cannot miss any meetings. You have to attend. So Patricia, actually, while I'm doing this, she did it for me. So they're going to make it that you have to apply. I already applied. And I hope they're going to accept me, because I think it's a phenomenal group. I'm actually looking forward to it.
No, that I never understood it, because here they're not that popular in Miami. Getting anybody to go to any meetings, to meet anywhere, it's almost impossible to get. I mean, I'm looking at that new, you might want to look into it. The new platform called Clubhouse. It's an online platform.
Yeah, I downloaded it. Yeah.
Now it's only available, I think, for iPhone, for Apple products. They don't have an Android version yet. And I think creating those rooms for people from a marketing strategy, saying, let's create a local room for local business guys to get together and do that, especially with COVID. A lot of people still don't want to go to any places where they're going to be enclosed with a bunch of people. I think that's an awesome opportunity. But
I joined one already.
Oh yeah. Okay. How's the experience been?
I just actually, a buddy of mine sent me the link.
Okay.
I joined it, but that's very recent. I haven't attended any.
Got it.
But he's loving it. He said, dude, it's a wealth of information.
Yeah.
He's really liking it. So yeah,
I think I might do something like that for doing consulting, group consulting, where we get everybody into a room, because it can be done from a phone, which you can't do it from a lot of other apps. So I think that's the beauty of it. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, man, anything else you're doing for marketing that's interesting?
Man, I love what I call guerrilla marketing, Franklin. By guerrilla marketing, I mean, and I really mean it, and I can show you the yard signs I have printed on eBay. I love eBay. I save a fortune. I'm getting 1,000 high quality postcards for $69, including shipping.
Right.
So to me, I've always been a huge advocate of guerrilla marketing. I put a yard sign when I'm getting off the freeway. That's fine if the cops take it down after 3 days. 50,000 people already looked at it, and it was all for free. So I hate knocking on doors, believe it or not, even though I'm in sales. That's why I order all these postcards that say $100 off your first treatment. We're treating one of your neighbors. Why don't you give us a call? I can show it to you. I can email it to you. So I love guerrilla marketing, networking. I'm being very cautious with social media, because even though I'm a marketing person, when I own my concrete business, that was like pretty much non-existent. I mean, it was originating. It wasn't like it is today. It wasn't that mature. So I don't see it as an expense. I see it as an investment.
Right.
However, I'm going about it very, very cautiously. But I love guerrilla marketing, and I can tell you a million things about it. We could do a whole podcast on it, and that and networking, basically.
Yeah, I think that you can. Here's the problem with things like guerrilla marketing, which was very, very, very popular in the 80s and 90 before we had social media. I mean, I have the book, and I did a lot of that in a lot of businesses. Well, what you got to do is take the guerrilla marketing and taking it to the digital space. And I was talking to from 417, and he says the way I started doing it, which is it is guerrilla marketing concept, is he says instead of asking the customer to give you a review when you're in their house, and says, hey, can you go to my Facebook page right now? Mm-hmm. And can you take my Facebook page and share it on yours and give me a comment?
Yeah, I do that too. And I offer him a discount to do that. I offer him $5 for the service.
Yeah. And he did it right there. That's guerrilla marketing.
Oh, absolutely.
You're just taking it in a different, where are people now? All their friends are online. So now he says, hey, I just used this company. And if he has a big following, he's a big influencer, mm-hmm. then that gets shared. So I think there's, taking the original concepts, of how we did things in guerrilla and taking it to the digital.
Oh, absolutely.
And figuring out ways. So we're going to start doing that now, which, you know what? I never thought of it. I actually never thought of just standing there and say, some people can't give you a review because they got to log into an app. They got to register. They got to have a Gmail address. It's a pain in the butt to get a review. Only the reason people leave bad reviews is because they're so angry that the cost of them going in and wasting their time to give a review is not to give a good review, but a negative review. It's like, remember when we were in sales back in the 80s, people would say, it's very hard to get a referral from somebody, but man, will 80% of people that are unhappy tell everybody that they're unhappy.
Oh, yes.
And this is the new media that it hasn't changed how people feel. I think social media just allows for us to see more of that negativity at scale, because you would have to physically talk to somebody in a conversation. Mm-hmm. When you were having coffee or having lunch, oh, this company was terrible. And you would so the damage was very limited because of their scope of influence that they had. Now their scope of influence is wide reaching.
Oh, yes.
And algorithms, if you ask me, are algorithms geared in social media to promote the negative more than the positive, and that it picks up on negative stuff? I will post super positive stuff on my group and I get 0 likes. I'll post something negative and it goes like wildfire.
It picks it up like crazy. I know.
And so I'm been testing that, and people are like, why do you post stuff like this? This is because I'm testing the algorithm, just seeing what keywords I can put in there because we were talking about SEO. Let's have a good conversation about SEO because you don't do it. And I've been doing it for like 6 years. Everything today, everything is a search engine.
Yeah. YouTube's a search engine. Yeah.
Everything. Facebook is a search engine. Indeed, when you're posting jobs, it's a search engine. My website has a search engine. That little magnifying glass, if you put in there in that search engine, I put keywords in the blog and I put certain so they can be found. If somebody puts SEO, that all my SEO blogs come up.
Yeah, Amazon is a search engine.
Everything is a search engine. Anything, right. If you're online searching for something, it has a search engine in it.
Right, correct.
So if you're in Indeed and you're putting out a job, this is why I tell people you need to put out 5 job postings, not 1. Because you need to change that headline because they're going to be looking for what they're familiar with. And you need to be able to attract that person, but they're in a different field than pest control. They're not looking for a pest control job. They're looking for an assistant job or they're looking for a manager. And those keywords are all in there.
Right.
So everything is a search engine. And so SEO is about search engine optimization.
Right.
So you need to optimize everything that you do in that platform to be found by those that you're targeting to be found by.
Exactly.
That's it. That's search engine optimization in a nutshell. So when you're on YouTube, I have to SEO my channel with certain keywords in the channel so that YouTube knows that channel is about this. It's also in my name and it's also in my description. So my description is keyword descriptive. My title is keyword descriptive. And the terms that I'm telling YouTube, this is what I'm trying to rank for, these keywords.
Correct.
All of it is related. And then every content that I put out has to have that SEO format in the header, in the body, and then in the keywords that I'm trying to rank for.
Absolutely.
So now that is SEO in a nutshell. That's what it really means. So a lot of plugins were sold and a lot of software was sold to try to get your websites to rank in the past. It's really not even necessary anymore. They're really more of a tool to help you get all that information in the right place than it is a tool that's actually going to help you rank. The tool doesn't help you rank. If your SEO is bad, your copywriting is bad, your headline is bad, you're not targeting the right keywords, you don't have the right keyword density, meaning the right percentage of those keywords in the text, but less than 1%, but no more than that. So you got to kind of get it right. You have to use what is known as latent semantic indexing, LSI. Basically, you're taking synonyms of that word and Google can pick up when they're reading, because Google now reads just almost like a human being.
Right.
It reads through that entire article. It understands what is in that article, what that article is about. That's why you have to have your H1 tag, H2 tag, because you got to tell Google in this paragraph, this is what I'm talking about. Tell them what you're talking about. The keywords need to be in there. And then you're breaking down your headers by paragraphs. Every header is a new paragraph title, and that title is related to the previous. So Google says, okay, this is related to this, and this is related to this, because remember, it's I/O switches in computers. Turns things on.
And that's why content is king.
Content is king.
People ask about backlinks and so forth. Yes, they're important. Content is king.
You can get them organically now, because if your content is good enough, all the backlinks we have are organic. We have way over, I don't know how many backlinks, in the thousands. We've all gotten them organically because how do I find people that want to link to pest control sites? It's not like nutrition or vitamins, and very hard to do SEO for pest control unless you do it yourself. And what you want to do is, if you're going to start with a company that's going to do SEO, you want to start with one company that's local. That was the first advice from my attorney, was get a local company, because if there's any problems, now you got to go out of state and reclaim, sue them, go after them out of state. That's going to get extremely expensive.
Yeah.
So what you do is you find in your BNI group, you find a guy and you say, man, you're ranking you're in inspections. Who are you using? Oh, I use this local company.
Using? Right. If it's working for them, it's going to probably work for me.
Yeah, don't ask the industry what the industry is using, but chances are there's a conflict of interest. And if they're in your city and they're doing already somebody in your city,
right,
it's not going to be good. So what you do is find the plumber, find the electrician, find that guy, hire them. And then from the start, and if they're, where they come with a high referral, that you actually talk to the owner and say, yeah, these guys are great. Because if you ask the company, every company is great. The problem is you got to do a lot of detective work. You got to buy SpyFu and you got to buy all this software and say, okay, give me the websites that you're ranking in a market similar to mine.
Right.
You're already in a market similar to yours with that competitor. He's competing. If chances are, if you got 1,700 pest control companies, there's probably 1,700 air conditioning companies too.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And then the home services industry too. So if they work for them, it should work for me too, right?
Exactly. And now there's no conflict of interest because you're in two different spaces.
Correct.
So that's what I would do if I was going to hire an SEO company. In my case, we're so focused. We're not focused on YouTube. I mean, we're not focused on Google so much as we are focused on every other social media site. LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. And so we're creating content to distribute across those 7, 8, 9, 10 platforms. But now we have to do it at scale. Content is king, but the amount of content that you have to put out to compete is a gorilla.
It's a gorilla, yeah.
And that's where I rather bring somebody in-house who understands what I do, who understands where the vision is, and to be totally devoted to this and nothing else.
Yeah.
And across my 5 brands that I'm building, because Pest Geek is not the only one. We've got Pest Geek Podcast. We got the Pest Geek Academy. We got Nature Pest. I've got the Godly Business Podcast that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm launching the plant show locally. We're going to do a national, local first, but then national, the DIY Pest Control Podcast to educate the home user. See, this is for you and I, but I'm doing one for the home user to educate them about this.
You need a full-time person.
So we've got 5 podcasts that we're going to be doing. We got 3 more to produce, plus his. And we said we just need to, we've been discussing it for over a year now. Timing is everything. And now we can do it. So, but understand that if you're going to get into SEO, you are going to have to be very patient because what is the competitive analysis compared to every other competitor? You got to go up on the ranks. How long is that going to take? Do you think you're really going to rank with 1 blog a month?
No, I'm going to have to be super dedicated to it.
Yeah.
And upload tons.
I would say if you're not writing 3 to 5 times a week, it will still take you 6 months to a year.
Oh yeah.
Even if you're writing almost every day. I was writing every day. Wow. And people were saying your grammar sucks. And I said, no kidding. But it's ranking.
It's ranking.
And you know what I'm banking on? That you're reading it because you're a pest control guy and you're trying to find every error that I have because you're into that. My customer is not going in there reading everything I have. My customer is going to read 1,500 pages. This is too complicated. Let me just call him.
You're ranking. He's probably not, even with his great grammar. So
so is grammar important now more than ever? Yes, it is. This is why we're just going to go in. And what we wanted to do, and here's the difference between you starting at 0 and building. What I wanted is we have a building that has tenants that we need to start remodeling it a bit at a time, the entire building, renovate it, and bring it up to standard. And what they wanted to do is trash it completely and rebuild. And then now that's double the work because now I got to lose all those tenants. I got to lose all that money, build it. And then this is the experience when I talk to my other pest control guys that had SEO companies. I talked to their SEO people, but I couldn't hire them because it was a conflict of interest. Basically, they said, all of them told me, all you really needed to do is a 301 redirect, build a new skin, and then rewrite all the content and fix it, which was the strategy that I wanted to go with. Mm-hmm. I wanted to run the ad. So this is the danger when you build something and then you want to remodel it, upgrade it, just like a house. You're going to go through a lot of inconvenience when you want you bought a 50-year-old house and you want to bring it up to the modern standard. And then your wife is like, I can't live here. because I'm going to lose my mind while this is going on. I need to go rent another place until you get this sorted out yourself and let me know.
Yeah, which takes time too.
Which takes time. So these are the pitfalls. So when I realized that after endless hours of conversation, they're not getting it and they didn't get it. And then all of a sudden, how long is it going to take now? Now you got to spend on hotels. We got to spend on ads. And I was willing to do all this. I understood what I was getting into and I was willing. Is the fact that what I'm trying to get people to avoid is this. If you're starting from zero, that's easy because even if you're not ranking and you paid a company and they didn't do the job you want and you fired my buddy, he says, bro, I fired 10 companies.
Wow.
In like 4 years because I couldn't get them. They were selling me. This is the problem. A lot of guys say they know SEO, but they don't.
They don't.
And you don't know until you actually give me all of the websites you're ranking in this city. And then you go into SpyFu or you go to SEMrush and you look at their rankings and see how much traffic they're actually generating.
Exactly.
And then now you got to become an SEO expert to be able to do an analysis on them. But most people are not going to have the time.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to set the time to sit there every night and learn what it is you have to look for because you don't know. It's the same principle, Carlos, as trying to explain to your customer and to everybody what IPM is. Trying to explain SEO to the average pest control person or the average business person.
And
it's almost impossible. And this is why everybody takes advantage of. This is why everybody says what we're spraying in your house is safe.
Yes. Because even if they have the time, they're not willing to do what it takes. So
you got to be willing to pay that price. I tell people, look, and people upload, they can't be that hard. I says, it's not that hard. Is that you have a learning curve.
Yeah.
And then after you have the learning curve, then you still have to produce the content.
Yeah. Which takes a long time.
So my job was when I started doing this was I had a route that was established. I had a business, 6 hours a day. It produced all the money I needed on 6 hours a day. Then I would come home, be with my family. And then at 9 o'clock at night, I'd be up to 12, 1 in the morning.
Right. Yeah.
Doing the content, writing it, editing it, putting it online, making it rank, and then wait 6, 7, 8 months while I did this to see the cost. But I already had an income.
A business.
I had a business that was producing enough for me by myself to be a solo operator until year number 2. And then I hired a technician, year number 3, and I hired a technician. And then now here we are 6 years later with 2 technicians, me in the office doing this all day. Yeah. And a company answering all our calls and hopefully that phone will be ringing soon. And it hasn't today. Absolutely. Because we're starting to recover now. So now I got to do ads like crazy and bring in a guy full time. And this is the real experience. This is the part of growing that most people say, I'd rather just spray apartments and do 10 a day and make $500 and not have any of these headaches. And unfortunately, if you want to, you got to learn.
Yeah, growth is painful.
You need to learn to manage the headaches.
Yes, you need to step out of your comfort zone and understand what it takes to have a real business. So
and that's what I'm focused on because I want to get this to 5-6 million. I want to be the regional company down here that does eco-friendly pest control that owns South Florida.
You're on your way for sure.
And that's a dream, but it also comes with a price. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to decide which of that price I want to pay. And the way I do it is by hiring people so that I'm not a slave to my business to where I own the business doesn't own me.
Right.
And then I can still enjoy my kids and I can still enjoy my life and have a social life and have all this. And I bring in the right people into my organization that understand what I'm about. But that's also 1 out of 1,000. And the hiring process. I just had a guy that I've been coaching forever. Finally, he decided to move his call center to where he's at because his company is down here. He lives up north. And I said, bring the call center up to where you are so you can control it and manage the inflow and outflow of information. You can get better quality people. And it only took him 3 years to get that done. And now he's saying, man, I can hire people so much easier that I'm here. And so he can have all his entire phone center, Salesforce, customer service and everything. And the only thing he has down here is the manager and the technicians.
Wow.
So again, thinking outside the box is hard because it's still a lot of work. You got to get out of your comfort zone. He was like more comfortable letting all the managers do it. I said, no, you need to be a leader and a CEO.
Absolutely.
You can't put that on everybody to do all that hiring. You need to be able to build the culture for your company.
You got to do what it takes. It's painful, but you have to be willing to do it.
Yeah. And that's it. It's going to be painful. And growth is painful. I mean, think about it when you were a kid. They call it growing pains for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
But you, after a while, it just becomes, okay, I got through that. You got through puberty. You got to being the guy with the zits in your face, and now you're a handsome guy. I mean, too much reflection on me here. No, but you know what I mean, bro. This is, I think, dude, that I'm so excited for you.
Thank you, man.
For the fact that you're getting it. You're getting it done. You got your dream accomplished. It's not too late. I mean, what are you, 40 something?
49. I'm actually turning 50 in a couple of months.
Yeah. So 50, here's the other thing that I wanted to discuss, because I think it's important that people understand. I'm 50, you're 49. I have dreams and goals of 25-year-olds. I want to be surrounded with 25 and 30-year-olds because they have a lot of energy, dreams, visions. Yeah. They make things happen.
Right.
But today, like, a guy has been working for a company, he's 50, says, I'm not going to start up at 50. I'm too old already. I don't see it. I see so many guys talking, I'm not going to start up. I'm not going to risk everything and start up at 50. I might as well just stay where I'm at. And I'm like, dude, did you realize most business people that were ever successful started up after they were 50?
Oh my God, yes.
It's just in this new age that we're in, we were made to think that all the entrepreneurs have to be 18 and 20-year-olds from Stanford.
False.
You can start up at 50. You can start up at 65. I had my friend who's a mentor who mentored me for a longest time. And he started up after starting up a plant in a partnership, having it go south completely, walking away with $1 million, coming to Miami, decide to go back into the consulting business at 50 and start up his new plant in Panama.
Wow.
Oil processing plant at age 60 something.
It can be done.
And he decided to, because that was his dream, to build his own. He did the consulting for so many people. His dream was to own his own processing plant. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about that charges $10,000 to fly down to Colombia and tell you what's wrong with your processing plant. That's it.
It can absolutely be done. You got to have it in you. You got to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. And that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. And I'm super passionate. I can, like you are. And I'm sure I'm going to make it happen. You have no doubt.
I have no doubt, dude. We had that conversation before you started. I said, dude, can't buy what you have.
Yeah,
it can't be bottled. It can't be bought. It's either in you or it isn't. And that right there is the fact that you can just go out sell is just going to be amazing. So I have no reservations that you're going to be successful.
Thanks for believing in me for always being there. You've been an amazing mentor.
Thank you.
And I appreciate it more than you can imagine, frankly.
No, brother, I'm here. I'm still here. Like I said, as soon as I have a chance to do some traveling, I want to see how I can get up there.
That'd be amazing.
We're trying to launch the Pest Geek Academy. Still, I'm working on that. It's an enormous amount of work. And then I want to start doing it, we're actually doing it live, and once the COVID thing,
that's awesome.
So we can do it online and live. And then I want to be able to teach people around the country what it is that we do.
That's awesome.
To be able to get that in the next 10 years. I'm thinking 50, and I'm thinking when I'm 60 that I don't, I'm thinking my goals in the next 10 years to be able to be in that position where this is a household name, what we do.
And you're making it happen.
That's it. That's the vision. That's the goal. That's what I've had when I started the podcast 6 years ago, to teach and train people. I'm getting calls from all over, technicians that nobody's training.
Yeah.
And you know what's sad? What's sad is that the owners are going to get angry and jealous and pissed that I'm teaching their people, and they're not. But it's in your court. You could have taught your people, and you still can't, and you're not.
Exactly. You're not doing it. So
what you got nothing to complain about. If I am their mentor and I am their coach and I am their teacher, that says more about you than it says about me.
Exactly. A lot.
Because you own it in your company. So train your people, invest in them. I'm going back up now tomorrow. I'm driving up to Orlando to go to Apopka to go back to Pest Management University.
Oh, you're going back?
Yeah, we're going back. I'm doing WDO. So I did an introduction to termite. I'm doing WDO. And then I'm going in March. I'm going back at the 10th of March, which is 2 weeks after that.
Yeah.
Going back to master's class for termite.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's about let me see, 8, 16, 20 hours.
Wow.
That's 20 hours one time. Then we're talking about 16 hours. No, about 12 hours. And then probably another 12 hours of training. So that's about close to 40 hours of training in 2 months with them to really learn termite. And then I want to learn the theoretical, the way it's supposed to be done. And then I don't know anything about termites.
Yeah.
And I'm launching a new division on termites, and I'm the one that's going to be doing it.
Yeah.
Because I trust me more to screw up than I trust somebody else to screw up. So think about that. I'm starting a whole new, I don't know anything about termites until I had no idea what that was like until
very exciting, man. I've been dealing with it for a while. That's, we
need to talk some more on termite and have.
Yeah, I'd love to give you ideas, and I'm passionate about that subject. So
I know, because I know you've been that for a while.
Talking about it for sure.
Yeah, brother. So man. So then I'm doing that, and then I'm going to the Paul J. Bello seminar that he's doing. He's starting to do these local travels, like the same way I want to do it, for a couple of days. He's doing it for a weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and then he's also giving the ACE exam, which I have the book here somewhere, which I got. I'm going to become I've made, I've had it in my heart to do it, to become an ACE, an associate certified entomologist.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for that. And then next year, if I can't do it this year, is then also get my home inspector license to be a licensed home. So be a licensed termite inspector, WDO inspector, and house inspector. So we're going to go direct to market. So we don't have to worry about getting the business from the real estate people. We don't have to get it from the other inspectors. We get it ourselves directly from the customer. The reason is there's a big rift in our market between home inspectors that don't want to disclose because they're beholden to the real estate guy, because the real estate guy gives them all the business and he has to report stuff that he finds, but then it costs the real estate guy the sale. Yeah. I could never stomach that. As
right. You're not in that position. So
that's why we're going to go direct to consumer and bring in the business directly and do this shows about real home inspection. That's why I'm going the DIY Pest Control podcast, because I need to target them directly to show them why it is that they don't want that relationship and why
Great strategy.
Yeah. And we have to go direct, but I'm willing to go on a microphone. I'm willing to get in front of a camera, and I'm willing to do it 3-4 times a day.
Yeah.
And then produce content at scale and distribute it to be able to get, that's my marketing strategy. So now I have to bypass everybody because I can't be dependent on somebody holding me hostage every time I want to do something. I can't have a contract for television holding me hostage. I was in television before. I understand it. So this is there's no reason why you can't go direct to the consumer today and build your own brand and build your own channel and own it and own the content and not have to go through anybody. But again, there's a price.
There's a price, yes. And it's called time mainly. So
it's called time and money, because you either have sometimes the time and then you don't have the money. It's like, and you have the money and you don't have the time. I need to have both.
It's always going to be a combination, but you're certainly on the right path. You're getting it done, and kudos to you for what you're doing.
Thank you, bro.
Not just for consuming, I mean for the industry in general.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. So, keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep at it, and let's just stay in touch like we have.
Yeah, let's do it. No, I plan to. And like I said, anytime you need help, you give me a call.
Appreciate it, man.
And when you guys is stuck on a protocol, give me a call.
Awesome.
We can help you out. And now let me see when I can get up to Phoenix, bro. I'm gonna try to.
Yeah, I'm actually may travel to Miami soon, so I was gonna let you know.
See if I had a consultation gig over there in Phoenix, it would be a tax deductible travel, not a vacation.
You will get it very soon.
You know, that way it's, you know, you get the best of both worlds, man. You get to write off that business trip. You know, you're
gonna get it very soon.
Yeah, brother. So that's what I'm planning on doing in the very near future. So God willing, I get the energy. This is why I'm trying to stay so healthy, bro. Keep up with your. By the way, you still doing your workout? Because I know you hired a. Yeah, you gave up, didn't you?
No, it's not that I gave up. I got tennis elbow now. So I can't do very much of it. I mean, I'm still, you know, running some and doing other stuff, but not working out as hard.
Yeah. And same here. I mean, we're getting old, dude. The factory parts, they don't make them anymore, and we gotta take care of them. You know, it's like a '57 Chevy in Cuba. You know, you know that's it. So I'm doing the yoga. I'm doing very light, but I'm doing some weights. And I'm doing.
Yeah, I can't wait to get back into weights. I'm getting my third PRP shot into my elbow in 2 weeks.
Wow!
And they're saying I'm progressing big time, so I can't wait to get back in the gym and lift. You know.
Yeah, at least do some yoga, do stretching, relax your mind. You need to relax your mind.
No, absolutely. Yeah,
I am trying to be. I'm trying to be holistic in every area of my life: body, mind, spirit, business. Important. Yeah, bro. The older I get, the more I realize that I wish I would have known that when I was younger.
25 years ago.
I would have known that, and I would have slowed down a bit. But you know, it is what it is. You're here, and it's never too late to make a change.
Never too late, man.
Exactly. So yeah, brother. Man, it's been real fun, bro. Thank you for being on today. I know you got to get going.
I feel privileged for doing it for real. I really do. And
I am the blessed one here. I get to hear all of your success stories.
And make sure you edit out the part where I show my butt.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll edit that out.
Enjoy your day, my friend. Thanks for everything.
You're welcome, my friend. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.